You can't live in LA and wake up at 8 o'clock in the morning. It's 11 o'clock on the East Coast. The stock market been open 2 hours. They already making decisions about your life, and your ass was asleep. The Bible says, he who loves to sleep and the folding of hands, poverty will set upon you like a thief in the night. He who loves to sleep and the folding of hands, poverty will set upon you like a thief in the night. I'm going to ask you one question, I'm going to go. How many of you in here know somebody who loves to sleep? Who knows somebody that loves to sleep? Let me ask you something. Ain't they Poe?
Welcome back to the channel. This week's video is going to be Steve Harvey talking about how you have to put more pressure on yourself and you need to expect more of yourself if you actually want to achieve anything, especially the level of success that he's reached. And he has a very interesting way of describing what needs to be done that's following energy law perfectly. And we're going to show you how what he's describing is actually one of the hidden aspects of our energy law model that we haven't actually pointed out yet. So let's watch the clip and then we will get to our model and I will show you exactly what he's describing hidden in our image.
We all live in this bubble. You got to put more air in your bubble. You got to blow your bubble up. Expand yourself. Take yourself out your comfort zone. Do not live in your bubble. Put some more air in your bubble. If you stay in your comfort zone, that's where you will fail. You will fail in your comfort zone. Success is not a comfortable procedure. It is a very uncomfortable thing to attempt. So you got to get comfortable being uncomfortable if you ever want to be successful. Start putting some pressure on. Put some pressure on yourself. Get out here and get about it. Look, I'd love to sugarcoat this thing for you. I'd love to tell you, look, you can go out here and get rich, do a couple of things. That ain't happening. You got to get real doggish. You got to get downright funky if you want to make it. Now, like I was telling you before, if you want to be ordinary, you ain't even got to listen to me. Just go on about your business. If you think ordinary is cool, ain't no problem. It's some really, really wonderful, ordinary people. But if you are sitting in this room and you have extraordinary aspirations, then you're going to have to do extra. You put extra on top of ordinary and you come up with extraordinary. You have to decide if you are willing to do the things to put you in that category.
I absolutely love it. So if you look at our energy law model, which we call Ohm's Wheels of Life, you're going to see that there are actually two circles that make an infinity sign. And the reason that it's there in this image is because the law is infinite in its applications and its uses. But if you look at the first circle, you'll see that in it, at the top, you have the potential constant reality, and at the bottom, you have the resistance constant reality. In the second circle, there's only one thing in it. It's the action constant reality. So the bubble that he's talking about is actually our first circle. Now you can look at things from the top down, or you can look at things from the bottom up. If you're looking at things from the top down, you are an optimist. And if you're looking at things from the bottom up, you are a pessimist. If you're looking at things from the bottom, you are obsessed with all of the negativity and resistance that is constantly just part of being alive. Whereas if you look at it from the top down, you can see that you have this potential, because potential and resistance are actually two poles. They are actually kind of the opposites of each other. There's the potential that you can be, and there's the resistance that you will inevitably encounter. And sometimes that resistance is just in your mind. So if you're looking at the world from the top down, then you have the potential to, from above, create a plan on how to get from the bottom to the top. But if you're looking at it from the bottom, then it just seems like this overwhelming mountain to climb. But his point is this: you have to leave your comfort zone. The only way for that whole bubble to truly expand is for you to go into the other circle, which is the action constant reality, and you have to consciously engage greater resistance. If current is constant and resistance increases, potential difference must increase. The only way for the first bubble to expand is for you to consciously leave that first bubble and go into the second bubble, where you have to put out all of the energy, and the result of you overcoming the resistances in the secondary bubble expands the first bubble. So this is basically how it works. And it's the same whether you consciously choose to do it or whether you wait for circumstance to force this upon you. You encounter an obstacle that you need to overcome. That's the constant resistance. And the instant you choose to act, you move into the action constant reality. The longer you are required to stay focused on overcoming the obstacle and the more pressurized you become, slowly you start inheriting all of the new skills that come with overcoming the resistance. While you're doing this, the first bubble slowly starts to expand as well, because that is where your new potential is actually being manifest. And when these two bubbles actually reach uniformity again, you have become pressurized to the new circumstance. And the reason you're pressurized is because your potential is now equal to the resistance you are trying to overcome. So the more difficult the task you set out to solve, the more pressure you feel while focusing all of your energy on solving it, but you simultaneously, with a slight lag, are increasing your potential as well. That is why you need to leave your comfort zone in order to grow. Up to this point, we've basically been explaining it as through action and the overcoming of resistance, your potential expands. But he's actually come up with a neat new way of showing what we've already got hidden in our image, is that really what's expanding is the first bubble. So if you want to actually achieve extraordinary results, at some point you have to leave the first bubble. You can live your whole life in the first bubble, but until you expand outward into the greater world around you, the first bubble will always remain limited. At some point, if you truly want to grow and become extraordinary, you have to leave the first bubble and become pressurized. As he says, you got to put some pressure on yourself. And the only way you can do that is to go into the secondary bubble, because that bubble is how you expand out into the greater world around you beyond the world of yourself. And your interactions in that world determine the continued growth of yourself. The whole crowd just starts clapping when he starts tapping into these things that are obviously fundamental truths. I would love to be able to speak to him about what he's actually observing, because everything that he says in that clip is completely energy law. That is probably one of the best energy law clips that we've seen so far as someone directly articulating it in a non-mathematical way. The graphics that you've seen in this video are called Ohm's Wheels of Life. They are an expanded understanding of Ohm's law that we have created so that we can help teach people that all of the obstacles and struggles that they think that they're facing are not unique to them. It is just part of the whole experience of being alive and what you are required to do if you wish to grow and become an extraordinary individual. Every extraordinary individual that you will see in this series reaches the same conclusion eventually, and that is that the person they became was 100% created through the overcoming of obstacles that they consciously chose to engage. All of these people are looking at it from the top down. That is the one commonality that they all have. They are not pessimists. They are not dwelling on the constant resistance that starts the journey. They are focusing on the potential that they can establish by going on the journey. And your life is a journey, and you have to choose, are you going to consciously pressurize yourself, or are you going to wait for circumstance to obligate you to act? Because if you consciously are choosing to engage the resistance by yourself, then you are better prepared in the event of a crisis. Because if you need circumstance to motivate you, the day circumstance comes and actually kicks you in the butt, you are not going to be prepared for all of the actual challenges that happen by virtue of just being apathetic and waiting for life to start happening. You need to put more air in your bubble. And the only way you do that is by getting out of the first bubble and going into the second bubble, and the result of that is the continued expansion of the first bubble. We hope you enjoyed the video. If you'd like more information on how energy law is impacting your life in all these different ways, in the infinite number of ways that energy law is actually functioning in the world around you, be sure to visit our website, Seniorthinktank.ca. There's all kinds of resources there for you to dive into, and we look forward to seeing you next week. Be sure to like and subscribe the video and share it with your friends.